I am Ankita Robin and welcome to SG Global News. From the story of a public school teacher suspended for displaying a crucifix above her desk to the surprising survey results showing a rise in Gen Z and millennial voters supporting limits on abortion, we have many stories to cover. Marisol Arroyo Casta, a public school teacher, had freely displayed a crucifix above her desk for over 10 years until she was no longer allowed to do so. The social studies teacher at De Loreto Elementary and Middle School has been facing retribution from school authorities, including suspension for displaying the crucifix, which had hung over her desk for over a decade. First Liberal Institute and Wilmer Hill law firm have stepped up to help the senior teacher out of her predicament and restore her First Amendment rights. Marisol Arroyo Casta, a Catholic public school teacher in New Britain, Connecticut, was suspended from her job for displaying a crucifix by the side of her desk. Marisol, a social studies teacher at De Loreto Elementary and Middle School, has had the crucifix in her classroom for the past 10 years. However, in December 2024, she was asked by the school authorities to remove it by the following Monday morning or be charged with insubordination. A few days later, she was made to move the crucifix to under her desk where the students couldn't see it. However, after a lot of pondering and prayer, Marisol was convinced that she had to put the crucifix back on the wall as it was a symbol of her faith and a source of peace. She was reprimanded the next day, suspended without pay for 2 days, and soon after placed on administrative leave. In January 2025, First Liberty and the law firm Wilmer Hill stepped in on behalf of Marisol, who now faces possible termination. They sent a letter to officials at the New Britain School District in Connecticut, demanding that the school reinstate her. Keisha Russell, senior counsel at First Liberty Institute, said, quote, "Requiring a teacher to purge their workspace of anything religious is blatant hostility that violates the First Amendment," end quote. Although discussions are continuing with Marisol and the teachers' union, a lawsuit could be filed if the district continues to bar her and her crucifix from the classroom. First Liberty Institute is a non-profit public interest law firm and the largest legal organization in the U.S. dedicated exclusively to defending religious freedom for all Americans. Mere hours after taking office, President Donald Trump pardoned 23 pro-life activists jailed during the Biden administration. Among them was Bevelyn B.T. Williams, a mother of a 2-year-old girl who was apprehended under the previous administration. On January 24th, she walked out of prison a free woman. A video of her emotional reunion with her husband and daughter has since gone viral on social media. She has also shared insights about her life after returning home. More on that now. Bevelyn B.T. Williams, a 33-year-old mother of a 2-year-old daughter, walked out of prison as a free woman on January 24th after President Donald Trump issued an official pardon for her and 22 other pro-life activists just hours after taking office. Williams was sentenced to 41 months in prison in July 2024 for allegedly violating the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act. She was prosecuted in connection with her 2-day protest outside a New York City Planned Parenthood facility in June 2020. The Biden administration filed FACE Act charges against her in December 2022, 2.5 years after the incident. In October 2024, Williams reported to the Federal Correctional Institution in Aliceville, Alabama, after her appeal request was denied. In an interview with CBN News, she recalled the hope that sustained her while she was in prison, believing that a change in administration would lead to her release. She told CBN News, quote, "I knew Trump wasn't going to let me sit in that prison. If he won, he was going to get me. I knew that," end quote. Her hope was not misplaced. On January 23rd, the day before the annual March for Life in Washington, D.C., President Trump signed an executive order pardoning 23 pro-life activists, including Williams. A video of her reuniting with her husband and toddler daughter has since gone viral on social media. In a post on X, Williams shared an update about her life after prison, saying she was home and trying to get settled with her family. She also mentioned that her daughter was overjoyed to see her and would not let her out of her sight. However, Williams' legal battle is far from over. She remains embroiled in a lawsuit filed by the abortion company Crucifix, which has brought a federal case against her under the FACE Act. Williams hopes to hire a lawyer and private investigators to fight the case and prove her innocence. The rebel group M23 has taken control of the city of Goma, where people have been suffering from intense violence and conflict. The decade-long conflict has recently escalated, leaving the residents of the city in eastern Congo scrambling for aid. The Catholic Agency for Overseas Development, a Catholic charity, has stepped up in this critical time. Alongside local experts, CAFD is providing those affected with essential supplies, including food and water.
The Catholic Agency for Overseas Development, CAFD, has increased the humanitarian response in Goma, a city in the eastern region of Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, where violence has resulted in humanitarian crisis. The M23 rebel group has seized the city in a major escalation of a decade-long conflict. The rebel group M23, made up of ethnic Tutsis, say that they are fighting for minority rights. However, Congo's government says the Rwanda-backed rebels are seeking control of the eastern region's vast mineral wealth. According to the UN and the Congolese government, around 700 people were killed and 3,000 were injured in the clash between the rebels and the army. CAFD have stepped up to meet the rising demand of humanitarian aid. The Catholic Agency is working along with local experts in Goma and are supporting the people who are affected by the crisis. The agency also reported that amid the conflict, a Catholic maternity hospital sustained damage from bombings, resulting in casualties among children and caregivers. CAFD's country representative of DRC, Bernard Balibuno, described the situation in Goma as very serious. Our staff and partners are responding with what they have, and we will be scaling up our response, Balibuno said in the report.
St. Louis Metropolitan Police have arrested a 29-year-old man for sending a series of threatening messages to St. Cecilia's Catholic Church in St. Louis. The suspect, Brett P. Suda, who also allegedly threatened the Archbishop of St. Louis, has been charged with felony harassment by prosecutors.
A 29-year-old man was charged with felony harassment by prosecutors for sending a series of threatening messages to a Catholic church in St. Louis, Missouri. According to a report by First Alert 4, Brett P. Suda was arrested on 25th January and held without the possibility of bond. St. Louis Metropolitan Police said that Suda sent a series of threatening messages to a person at St. Cecilia's Catholic Church in St. Louis, expressing anger at alleged misconduct in the church. He also sent messages about the Archbishop of St. Louis, Reverend Michelle Thomas Rosansky, where he suggested violence. The alleged threats caused panic and distress for parish staff and members. St. Louis Archdiocese in turn ramped up security to protect the faithful. According to a report by the Family Research Council in 2023, at least 436 acts of hostility, including vandalism, arson, gun-related incidents, and bomb threats against the churches occurred in the United States, more than double the number identified in 2022.
More than 4,000 people processed with the Eucharistic Lord through the streets of Derry in Northern Ireland on the Feast of St. Bridget, a national holiday in the country. The procession was organized by the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal and endorsed by Bishop Donald McEwen. People from across Derry gathered to witness the Eucharistic procession, which quietly proclaimed the might of the King of Kings. More than 4,000 people turned up at St. Columba's Church, Long Tower in the heart of Derry, Northern Ireland, for a Eucharistic procession on the feast day of St. Bridget. For the Irish, February 1st, St. Bridget's Day, is a national holiday marked by celebrations across the country, with each region adding its own unique flavour. The Eucharistic procession through Derry on St. Bridget's Day was organised by the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal, who invited people from all over Ireland to take part. Most Reverend Dr. Donald McEwen, Bishop of Derry, encouraged the faithful under his care to join the procession in a special message ahead of the event. On February 1st, thousands arrived at St. Columba's Church, Long Tower, where the Eucharistic procession began. The procession wound through the city and reached Guildhall Square, where the faithful recited the Rosary. The procession, which continued after the Rosary, returned to the Long Tower Church, where the faithful took part in a special St. Bridget's Day celebration of Mass following benediction. Attendees bore St. Bridget's crosses, flags, religious icons and posters as they accompanied the Eucharistic Lord through Derry, where Catholics have historically faced political and economic discrimination. In a shocking turn of events, a new survey commissioned by the Dimitri Institute for Pro-Life Advancement and YouGov reveals that 48.5% of the American electorate, consisting of millennials and Gen Z voters, support the human rights of the unborn. This survey, which sheds light on the perspectives of younger Americans either entering adulthood or approaching middle age, is indicative of a future where the lives of the unborn are protected and honored.
A new survey conducted by Dimitri Institute for Pro-Life Advancement and YouGov finds that majority of millennials and Gen Z support abortion restrictions. The survey witnessed 2% increase from 65% in 2024 to 67% in the registered voters between the ages of 18 to 42 who support abortion with some limits. Surprisingly, 48.5% of American electorate that comprises of millennials and Gen Z are inclined towards the human rights of the unborn. Students for Life of America founder Christian Hawkins said these survey results are noteworthy, particularly after a polemic presidential election that intensely focused on abortion. She further added that the best news for political leaders, voter support is on the table for those who protect women and the preborn, as well as taxpayer interest. According to the press release, 6 in 10 said human rights begin while a child is still in the womb. Only 2% said rights begin when a court says so. Only 25% said human rights begin after birth. In the 2024 presidential election, the Democratic Party operatives and media analysts chanted abortion rights like a mantra, but the voters prioritized in giving life than ending it. This survey by Dimitri Institute for Pro-Life Advancement and YouGov sheds light into the perspectives of younger Americans who are either entering adulthood or are approaching middle age. These views matter as it's a glimmer of hope for the future.
That's all for today. Until we meet again, God bless and thank you.